Hello, everybody. This is Gustavo, exam coach. In this opportunity, I want to consider a question that will illustrate how to correctly apply number theory when doing the GMAT quantitative section questions. In this opportunity, we have the question that says as it follows. If x equals negative 0.256, which of the following must be true? Obviously, we need to pick one of the 5 answer choices that is mandatory in the problem solving question format. But as we examine the answer choices, we can notice that all alternatives include the same 3 algebraic expressions. There are these 3 powers of the number x cubed, x up to 4, and x up to negative 5. You can see that all we have in these answer choices is the same 3 powers, but in different orders. So we need to pick the correct order. What do we know about real numbers that can help us choose the correct answer? Okay, let us first identify what type of real number are we talking about here? What type of number is x? We see x is negative, but not only that, x is a negative number, right, between 0 and negative 1. In other words, a negative decimal, right? So what are the properties of negative decimals? When we take powers or we raise them to exponents. Well then, a negative decimal when raised to an exponent that is, for example, even, automatically becomes a positive number. Yes, while x up to 3 and x up to negative 5 are powers that include odd exponents, right? And one property of odd exponents is to keep the sign of the base. And since the base is negative, that means that x cubed will be a negative number, x up to negative 5 also a negative number, but x up to 4 will be positive. So now we know, since positive numbers are always greater than negative numbers, that we need to discard the following answer choices. Why? Because in those 3 answer choices, x up to 4 doesn't have the place it deserves. X up to 4 is actually the greatest of the 3 powers. So it should be on the right end of the sequence. So we need to pick actually either option B or option E. So which one is greater, x cubed or x up to negative 5? Yeah, perhaps you might think that this is a little difficult to get. So why not try a simpler number? Instead of operating the actual value of x up to 3 or up to negative 5, you know that all negative decimals in the range between 0 and negative 1 have all the same behavior regarding their powers or their roots. So what about trying this sample value, which is actually here, negative 1/2, and see what happens when we raise negative 1/2 up to 3. All right, it's easy. Multiply 3 times, we have 1/8, but negative sign because, of course, of the odd exponent. Okay, we have this number is approximately over here, right? Negative 1/8. What about negative 1/2 up to negative 5? We can interpret this in this way. Actually, negative 1/2 is the same, raising this up to negative 1, and then all of this up to 5. Because the negative 1 exponent we can interpret as taking the inverse or reciprocal of the real number negative 1/2. So this becomes simply negative 2. You know, the reciprocal or the inverse of a real number x represented by x up to negative 1 is always 1 over x. Okay, so what we've done here is divided 1 over negative 1/2, and that equals negative 2, of course. So now we would have that the original expression negative 1/2 up to negative 5 is the same as negative 2 up to 5. If we do this, then we realize that the result is 32 with a negative sign. Negative 32 obviously is pretty much very far from negative 1 to the left. So it's clearly, right? This clearly represents, okay, how the 2 powers, negative 5 exponent and the 3 exponent for the variable x would be the same relationship as in the case of negative 1/2 up to 3 or up to negative 5. The power with negative 5 exponent will always be much lower, pretty much less than the power x up to 3, which is over here, far beyond to the right. So the correct answer choice would be option 5. All right, we'll deal with another question yet in a next video.